Hi, I'm Sandy from Lightning Tools, and I'm here again with Brett. Hi, Brett. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Very good, thanks.
Yeah. Should we pretend it's a whole week since the last time we recorded, or
Yeah,
should we?
sure, sure. Let's do that. Just doing a little catch up here. That's all right. A couple weeks ago, though it really was a couple weeks ago, we showed our Data Viewer web part and how that can be used to do some reporting and analytics on social squared content usage, user adoption, things like that. And after we demoed that, we were asked, well, can you do anything else with the Data Viewer? Is it just for social squared? So we thought we would show some examples of other things that you can do with our Data Viewer web part.
And you're going to ask me to do that, aren't
Yes.
you? All right.
Take it away.
Okay, dokie. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. So, yeah, just as a quick recap, as you mentioned, these are some of the different charts that we created around social squared content. So, social squared being the discussion boards, and these reports here are showing me things like how many posts have gone unanswered after a certain amount of time, how many are still within the window to be answered, and that type of thing. And then we've also got some of the charts as well, showing things like total number of topics, likes and votes per month, and also we can see how many posts per forum there are, how many badges people have been awarded for replying to people and that type of thing. So yeah,
I
that's
especially like that number of posts per forum personally.
yeah, that's a great one, and it's really easy to
Mm-hmm.
create as well.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely right. So yeah, that's something that obviously you can create inside of SharePoint, and you can also add that page as a tab inside of Teams as well, just in case you're using Social Squared in Teams. The other thing that you can use the data viewer for, absolutely, is if I can get the tabs out of the way here. There we go. So one of the things you can use the data viewer for is to actually just connect to its own data source. It doesn't always have to be obviously like social squared or something else. So I'm going to add a connection or add the data viewer web part here. And when I go to configure it, you'll see that there's a few different data sources that we can connect to. And I know this is going to perhaps come up from one of our listeners, but why not use Power BI or something like that? And really the answer to that is, this is designed as not at all a competitor to Power BI. One of the reasons for building this product was actually going back to the good old days of SharePoint Designer, and
Mm-hmm.
how you used to be able to style SharePoint lists to add conditional formatting and things like that, which we started to see come into the SharePoint user interface now with the modern experience. But this is the sole reason why the data viewer was created. Once that design tab disappeared and you only had the code view, that meant that it was very challenging for business users to actually build some conditional formatting and things like that, and report on their content. So that's really why the data viewer exists, is as a sort of replacement for that. But it's also a great product to, as a business user, just very simply build some charts or build some reports on SharePoint content, but also some external content as well, without sort of having some overkill for Power BI, which it is overkill in some cases, not all, because it's an extremely powerful tool, and that power, the data viewer is not going to go there. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, absolutely, it's kind of got its niche, is what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying.
Well, and another difference is not only is it easier to create some basic charts, but also once you have Data Viewer licensed in your tenant, then anyone's going to be able to view those charts. You don't have to buy a special license to be able to share that.
Yeah, absolutely right. That's spot on. So yeah, so you can connect to SharePoint lists, and if you were to select a SharePoint list, you'll notice that the data source tab actually allows you to navigate to those SharePoint lists, so you can extend some of those site collections and so on in order to get to that content. You can connect to business connectivity services as well, and there's a very good reason for connecting to business connectivity services if you are or have been using BCS in the past, and maybe using external lists, and now you've upgraded to a modern experience. those external lists aren't modern. They stand out like a sore thumb now. They're classic. They feel clunky with the rest of SharePoint. So the data viewer is actually going to offer you a fully responsive, modern experience around your data inside of BCS without you having to reconfigure any of that connection. So you can connect to BCS, and we're going to ask you what's the external content type namespace and the external content type name, and you'll be able to go through and map your finder methods and that type of thing. We've also got OData, or there's SQL Azure as well, and there's Excel workbooks, or also the web parts. So you can use web part connections as well with the data viewer. So just a quick example I'm going to do is using the OData service. So we'll connect to that in a moment, but I've got another choice on this page that I might want to make, and that is, do I want to have a grid view, or do I also want to have a chart view? And I'll show you both of those so you can sort of see the benefits of each of those. So when I go to the data source tab, because I'm connecting to OData, I'm just going to paste in a link to an OData service, and you can get this link as well from odata.org. I'm going to load entities, which will then populate this combo box with a bunch of different entities and views and things like that are exposed via those OData services. So this, by the way, is a great way if you have some on-premises databases, you can very easily, using Visual Studio, there's actually wizards that will take you through all of this, but
I was
you can
going to
connect.
say easily for who, but
It's actually not that challenging at all as long as you've got
okay.
Visual Studio. But yeah, you can connect to an on-premises database, whatever that might be, and expose that data as a OData service, and then connect to it that way. So that makes your data then available to the cloud, and you could consume it using the data viewer. So in here, yeah, bunch of different tables. If I connect to first of all the products table, and show you that if I was to come in and select a few different products, we've got things like product name and unit price, units in stock, units on order, etc. So we can choose those. We can also add a calculated column if we want to as well. So what I'm going to do is put in some sales tax, and here I could select the type of data that is, select my unit price column, and we'll multiply that by 0.2, which is very hard coded, but you get the idea. So we've now got the tax on there, and I could drag that down and drop it right next to the unit price. Okay. You can filter, and we can also change the display format. So some of the things that I might want to do is do things like, format some of these numerical columns into currency formatting. So we could do that for the units in stock. Sorry, not the units in stock. Do that for the tax, and also do it for the unit price. So we get those showing as currency. And you'll see there's lots of other formatting options in here, as well as conditional formatting and so on, which I'll show you in just a moment. If you are connected to SQL Azure, you can also use all your CRUD operations. So you create, remove, update, and delete. You can switch all of those on or off. So you have those. And there's also the option to select rows, which I'll show you why that is in just a moment. So I hit save on that, and you can see here we've got the data coming back. So some of the things that I might want to do here is, maybe some data bars or something like that. So in here we don't have to have data bars as a conditional thing. We could just set a maximum value. We can show or hide the underlying value, and we can change the colors. So you can actually have a blending color if you want, or we can start off with a custom color here and just tone it down a little bit. So we can go through and select that, and that becomes our color there. So you've got that right color and left color that you can go through and choose from. So you get a nice blend. And when we save that, you can see, oops, that just applied it to that row for some bizarre reason. Strangely.
I didn't notice. Did the other ones have? Oh yeah.
Yeah, they all have figures. I'm not sure what I did there, but anyway. So you've got the units in stock. What we'll also do, though, which I was going to do, is just highlight anything where we're out of stock. So notice that one of these items has come down to 0. So I could set the units in stock and say that is less than a certain amount. So we could say is less than 5. And should that be the case, then we could maybe highlight that item with a little icon somewhere. So that just brings that to our attention then, and we can do something about that if we're running low on stock for those particular items. So that's the type of thing that you can do. Now you can also connect these together, which starts to become quite powerful. I'm going to move this web part over to the right here, and over on the left we'll add another instance of the data viewer and configure that one. So once more I'm going to go through and connect to OData. So we'll drop in that same URL, and we'll choose this time the category information. So we've got the categories of products this time displayed, and this is where I'm going to turn on that allow selecting rows. So once that is switched on, as you can see, which it is now, what I want to do is take this as a selection and pass it across to the consuming web part. So we get that same sort of thing that you could do with BCS and the associations.
Yeah. Nice.
So yeah, we'll add the category ID in here as well. So we'll have that. And so that's now being displayed. So what I'm going to do is filter actually on that value. So we'll go through and reconfigure, hit a filter on the category ID, and I'm going to connect this filter value to the other instance of the data viewer and choose from the selected item, which is the reason why we turned on selecting rows. And as we save that now, we can simply go through over on the left, choose a beverage. If
Very
we're
cool.
interested in beverages, we can see the products in that category, and we can also go through and select more than one, so we can see all the products within inside that category there. So
Yeah,
this
that's
can,
nice. I know a lot of people used to do things like that with the related business data related web parts or whatever you called them back.
yeah,
To make
yeah,
that nice dashboards.
absolutely right. And yeah, being modern, you don't have that page refresh that you had back then either, so that's quite nice. So what we'll do here is also build a chart on that content. So I could also have this one pointing again at products, and we'll have the product name and the units in stock and units on order. And so rather than having a grid view, we can have that in a chart format like this, and we could group by the product name, change the colors. So we randomly choose the colors, but yeah, you might want to go with a theme color again so that it blends in, and you could have a column as opposed to a line. And for this one here, we'll go with a nice bright green, and we'll make that an area. And so very quickly and easily, we've got another chart coming through. And we could also link that one through to the category filter as well. So notice I could also have that provider part actually providing to multiple web parts. So here, if we have those ones selected, it should actually fire a connection to both the chart and also to the report now. Okay, so yeah, very quick and easy to do that sort of development, which is nice.
Cool.
So that's the data viewer kind of working on its own. Let's scrap these. Let's take those off the page. And one product that the data viewer will work with is the Lightning Conductor. So the Lightning Conductor is our content aggregation tool. And what I'm going to have this do is connect to tasks, and I'll bring those tasks back from my tenant here. So what you'll see is we get some content coming back. So lots of different tasks. We've got the people avatars now in the Lightning Conductor. We've got the conditional formatting already set and things like that. And then over on the right hand side here, I'm going to add the data viewer so that I can build a chart, not just on one list, but multiple lists. So we'll connect this to another web part on the page. And in the charts view, will display content coming from the Lightning Conductor and the retrieved items. So now I've got all the columns being represented by the Lightning Conductor. So we can choose something like the ID and the priority, and we could then have that display as maybe a pie or donut, and we could do a grouping based on that priority column. And we've got a count going on of each of those items. Well, I think I said some, but I could have changed that to a count. But yeah, there we go. We've got that chart to give us an idea as to how well our team is performing with their tasks, and
Cool.
whether we've got a lot of tasks overdue or not. So yeah, that's another useful example of using the data viewer with the Lightning Conductor.
And then can that also be, can you select items out of the Lightning Conductor too to kind of filter the chart and dynamically change it?
Yeah, absolutely. I based that on the retrieved items, which means everything that came back, but we could also have done that on selected items as well. The other thing we can do is add to the mix here the Lightning filter. So if I was to filter on the Lightning Conductor, it's going to dynamically change that chart anyway. So you'll notice if we changed our task status, for example, to show all the completed tasks. So that's going to retrieve that data, and you can see the chart changes to reflect of those completed tasks, which ones were low, high, and normal priority. But what we can also do is add the Lightning filters to the mix here. And this is a filter web part that you can connect to the Lightning Conductor or to the data viewer. And
a free one, by the way.
It is a free one, yeah. So that could be a people filter or something like that, where we could have that default to the current user, and we can then use the Lightning Conductor to filter on that content. So as we go to columns now, against the assigned to, we can map that to Lightning filters and the title of the user that we select. So now we've got kind of three web parts that are all joining forces to build a solution. So notice here we've got a great big black dot because there's only one completed task. So as we change that to
these ones are on priority,
Sandy,
I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. So we'll select Sandy, and here we'll see all of Sandy's tasks. There are no items to show. You must have gone through and completed some. But anyway, you get the idea that all of these are connected. Yep, nobody else has got any other tasks to do. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, I think you have a rate filter there. I don't know.
Yeah. So anyway, that's where the data viewer can sit inside of that sort of scenario.
Very nice.
There is another tool as well, which kind of makes sense, and that is Lightning Forms. So here we have a custom list. So in here we've got two different tabs. There's the expense claimant and the approval. So this is a custom form. Started off as a custom list, but as you can see, we can go through and make an expense claim. So Sandy, if I drop you in here, and you can see we're doing things like calculating the full name. We can put the company and the email address and things like that in here. And at the bottom, we can also go through and add some expense items. So you do a lot of traveling. So we'll put travel to somewhere and choose the date of that and the claim amount.
Wow.
So that one, yeah. There we go. So we get a expense claim being made in here. And under the approval tab, I can see that you're still 1,000 off your limit. So if we were to maybe go through and add some beer,
yeah, I better spend some more. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe 1,001 was spent on beer.
Wow.
Yeah, we can see here that your total expenses has actually got some conditional formatting on it inside the custom form to say that you've exceeded that. So yeah, we better make that adjustment. But anyway, we can save that. and that's created an expense item. So of course, one of the things you might want to do once you've built a custom form using Lightning Forms and you've got some custom lists is also report on that content as well. So you absolutely could go through and maybe add a page inside that same site and add the data viewer there. And we can configure that against the SharePoint list. So so in here we can just simply navigate down.
And that could be in any site collection that you have access to, right?
Absolutely right. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, what we might be interested in is yeah, just first name and maybe total expenses, and also whether they're approved and the expense claim limit. There we go. And we'll just swap those around a little bit. There we go. So we've got that, and that's something that we could display inside a report or also build into a chart as well. So of course, if we wanted a pie chart or something like that instead, then that could be changed into a pie chart. So we can change that from a grid view to a chart view. I can work with the same columns, and in here you can see there the total expense claim and that expense claim limit. So that expense claim limit, we could actually make a area, and we could leave that in pink, and the total expenses, we could make that as a column, and so on. And you can see then where people are at with their expenses and whether they regularly go over them or not, and that type of thing. So there we go. That's the Data Viewer working in combination with a series of our other products.
Nice. Nice. And would people get a special price if they order the Data Viewer in combination with something else, or if they already own one of the other tools, I think?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Data Viewer, well, any product as a second purchase comes with a 25% discount on that product. So yeah, that's to any existing customers. So
nice.
Yeah. Wonderful. So hopefully that answers the question. What can
Yeah,
the
thanks.
be used for? It's not just specifically for Social Squared. It can be used with a whole bunch of other things. But you've got that advantage that if you do buy it with Social Squared for reporting on Social Squared, you could also use it for all these other reasons as well.
Right. Right. Yeah, bonus.
Absolutely.
All
Excellent.
right. Well, yeah, thanks very much. And
Yeah, no problem.
yeah, I think people find that really useful, and I guess I'll see you next time.
Sounds good. All right. Take care,
All
Sandy.
right. Okay, you
Bye.
too. Bye.